Good morning. I'll try to make it quick, Nick. I'll respect your 6 minutes, maybe extend to 8, but that should be okay. First, I'd like to thank Elizabeth for inviting me at this Gender Summit. I met Elizabeth very briefly last year in Santiago at the other Gender Summit. And after my presentation, she invited me to come here. So I'm quite pleased to be back. And before I start this presentation, I work in the mining industry and does employ a lot of scientists, engineers, and in various types. And I'd like to ask people if they know how many women worked in the mining industry. I'll answer that question later on, but I'll just leave that there for now. So, like Nick said, my name is Jean de Rivieres. I'm Vice President for Global Mineral Exploration at BHP. For those of you who don't know BHP, we're the largest mining company on this earth. We employed roughly 30,000 people, full-time employees. I was born in Quebec, speaking French. Some of you might have got the accent here. And in those days, it was an interesting situation where it was, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, this is where my life started. It was not about gender, but it was about language. It was English, it was French, it was ice hockey. And I quickly realized that you can have a French-speaking team, you can have an English-speaking team, but if you have a team with the best of both, you end up with a winning combination. And this is all about accepting diversity, and it's all about being inclusive. So this, for me, started at the age of 6. More or less 7. And it basically carved the way that I looked at my life, but also the way that I've been seeing other people and how I like to be surrounded through my career, professional career. BHP, like I said, we're a large company, and for us, inclusion and diversity, it's not necessarily about being politically correct, but it's more, we see it as a business driver. And in 2016, our CEO, Andrew McKenzie, made a statement, very interesting statement, that by 2025, we will have reached gender parity in the organization. It's not a small task. It's actually a serious job. You need people that are committed to achieve that. And it's so committed that we've even included in our charter that we are successful when our teams are diverse and inclusive. Okay? It's part of our, really, it's our business model. And we know, and I've heard other talks here today of people talking about the benefits of having diverse and inclusive teams. And what we've seen in one of the, for us, again, it's part of our culture at BHP, but from a safety standpoint, we've seen that diverse teams basically have safety records that are 20 to 60% in better shape than the ones that are just male-dominated. If we look at productivity, 7 to 15% increase in productivity for a more diverse team. So I think the business case is there, but how do we really track? When you look at the size of the company, how are we tracking to achieve our parity? Month and a half ago, I had some work to do at our port facilities in Coloso in northern Chile. And as I was talking to people, it kind of grabbed my eyes that as I'm looking around, I notice, if you want, more women than I'm used to see at our mining operations. So I asked a question, and basically the BHP team at the port facilities is 40% female. That's pretty darn close to 50%. And these are people that we're talking about engineer, we're talking about operators, we're talking about supervisors, but the entire package is 40%, which I think is fantastic. But there's still some ways to go before we can reach the 50. This is one example. And if we start to look a little bit more at my area in exploration, is let's do a little bit of a dive into this. I've got a team that's about 100 people. And basically 70% of our activities are field-based in areas that I would say are difficult, remote. You've got, I would say, limited facilities when you are in those areas. Living conditions very unusual and difficult to be in. Importantly also for the more modern people, no connectivity. Bummer. It feels good when you go there. You're really relaxed, no emails for a while. And when our experience is, as we're hiring people, trying to attract people, it's basically most of the professionals that are going to postulate are male. We have very, very little or very few women that basically postulate for the position. So we face these challenges, difficult to overcome, I think, when it comes to attracting and recruiting. We need to adapt and we need to change to be successful. We cannot keep doing what we're doing. The status quo, to me, is not an option. And I've been in this position for the past 5 years now. And it's always been the message to our recruiter, but also to my leadership team and to other people that are looking for people for us. And I think it's part of the way that we want to attract people. It's we need to basically change how we're doing it. And this means we have to expand our search, the pool, basically. Our pool is very limited currently, and we need to expand it. And the only way that we can do that is if we start to change a little bit the way we behave. And the way we do that is we all have the opportunity to do it, but we need to be committed to do it. And if you're not committed, it will not happen. So from my 100 employees, if you want, I've got people from more or less 14, 15 nationalities. We're looking at 4, 5, 6, 7 different religious background, cultural background. We're looking at different sexual orientations. We're looking at people that have disabilities. Basically, it's the team currently for me is I do have a very diverse team, and I think every members on the team, or most of them, are quite inclusive with everybody. But like I've said, we have the ingredients, but really having the ingredients is not enough to be successful. And we need to develop initiatives that are going to basically have an impact on people's life. If you don't have these initiatives, nothing's going to happen. And this is where I think I have an important responsibility in BHP, in my position as a leader in BHP, is I can start to basically change the way we look at things. Okay? I'll give you a couple examples of things that we've done, and one of them is basically the way we attract people. We started to change the way we make our ads to make them more appealing to basically female. You look at the way it goes. A good example was Ecuador. We opened up Ecuador. We're looking for 10 employees. We said opportunity to have our 50-50 right off the bat. We've designed these ad and attracted women. One of them for a position of operations specialist, which typically I think I've got 25 in my organization, not a single woman in that role. Interestingly enough, we had 6 or 7 applicants that were females, just by changing the way the ad worked. And we ended up hiring basically Natalie and as our first operation specialist, which we were very, very pleased of. And what we've done on top of this is, this was the interesting part, because we had to address a very serious unconscious bias, but people interviewed Natalie through a video conference. And everybody was very impressed with her and decided to basically, yeah, we're going to offer her the position. Like they were writing notes on the table. The interview ends, she gets up. She's 9 months pregnant. Wow, okay. That complicated the story. 4 months later, she works for us. She has a lovely little daughter named Luciana. And, but we had to do things different. You know, we were opening a new office, 10 people. Suddenly we need some daycare facilities. So we had to basically work something out. We offered her to tell us what would work for her, and we adapted, and she adapted, and basically it's a win-win situation. Flexible work hours, very important. In BHP, it is spread throughout. I know that out of my employees, I've got 25 to 30% employees that are on flexible time hours. And what does that mean? It could be 4 days a week. It could be come in early, leave early, or come in late, leave late. You want a 2-hour lunch break to go see your child at your house? Take it. Work half hour later and start half hour earlier. And so it's these type of things that basically we can control these things very, very easily. So just to close up here, I'll finish this very quickly. The first question I ask, how many female or women in the mining industry globally? Less than 10%. Pretty scary number. In my organization, I've got, when it started in 2016, I had about 20%. Now I'm at 33% female in the overall bucket, if you want. As part of my direct leadership team, 33%, and as part of my extended leadership team, it's 60% female. And I think this is key. And these are part of the problems that we face in the future, is we need to increase women as part of the leaderships teams that are there. We need to have really a good, and I've heard that word, a good pipeline, good foundation. And we need to basically work on our biases, unconscious or even conscious biases. People forget that sometimes the conscious biases are there. And basically expand, to me, the inclusion and the diversity to basically everything. I don't remember which slide that I saw this morning, but the whole shebang was there. It was men, boy, women, girls, you know, like ethnicity, religion, and this is what it is. The society needs to live that way, all included. So, sorry, I made it longer.